start. The management and the establishment of our companies to carry on industries and work our factory, then the best people would not come. Therefore, in order to attract the best talent in the country, and I need hardly point out that at this stage of our nation's development, it is essential that for purposes of improving the standard of living of our people, the very best men should be attracted to our industry. The amount of remuneration that is fixed should not be disproportionate to the return that the particular individual may be able to get for his intellect in other walks of life. Sometimes the establishment of a company necessitates the investment of large sums of money, and a very big risk is taken that if the enterprise fails, the entire investment will be lost and will be wasted. Therefore, in order to persuade the capitalist and the enterprising businessman to invest his money in industries and in business and in the flotation of companies, there should not be any undue restriction on the amount that is to be paid to him as remuneration, because we all know that in the first few years the income from companies would be very small indeed, and to fix any percentage during the formative period or during the earlier stages of the existence of a company would not be very attractive for prospective businessmen. Sir, we can point out to our own countrymen the advantages of plain living and high thinking and being content with very small remuneration. But what about businessmen from other countries? If we are going to place the same restrictions on businessmen from foreign countries or industrialists from foreign countries, is it likely that foreign talent or capital would be attracted to our country when they know that they can earn very much more in some other country of the world where such restrictions are not in force? If they can earn a larger dividend or a larger return or a larger remuneration for their own particular services elsewhere, why should they come to our country? Therefore, I believe that the placing of these restrictions on the remuneration that has to be paid to businessmen for the management of companies is not likely to attract the very best men either in our country or from the other countries abroad. If company law has been developed in other countries to such an extent that experts in management in those countries who have vast experience, if invited to our country, would be helpful in promoting companies here or in carrying on the affairs of our companies, there is absolutely no reason why we should place such restrictions as would discourage them from coming to give of their best to our own country. Of course, as I said before, I have no personal experience of these matters nor any intimate knowledge. But to me, it appears that if these restrictions are not enforced in other countries against their own citizens, there is absolutely no reason why we should press hard for restricting the remuneration to be paid to experts for management. And I think it is a salutary provision to leave that to the discretion of the central government to fix the amount as it may deem expedient in particular cases. Stop. Then, sir, the next point on which I would beg to address the House is the theory of my communist friends that labor should be associated with the management of companies. Now, I do not wish to be. Now, I wish to make one point clear. It is not our standpoint that labor should be taken on the board of directors of private companies. Some misgiving has arisen from a speech in the other house. So I make it very clear for my party. Then I am very glad to get this assurance from the leader of the Communist Party. It is not an assurance, it is a statement of our position. Stop.